All right, friends. Hello, hello. Let's get started on Twitter best practices. So I know this is long overdue, but let's jump in. I have about 15 minutes and then I have to run. So this might be two videos, but I'll try to make this quick and also very efficient and effective and really helpful. This is going to be really good because Twitter is the place that you want to be if you're getting into NFTs and you're trying to promote your NFT collection and all of that good stuff. That is where everybody is. And yes, so it's very good to know all about Twitter. Okay, so I want to talk about basically just tweets in general. If you haven't seen the Instagram stories, it's kind of like the same thing with that. It is making sure that you are giving people a story every single day. They're following along with you. Obviously, it's going to be more of still images and more copy based than an Instagram story. But I want you to make sure that you're essentially following that same thing of giving the behind the scenes, telling the story of your day, saying good morning, saying good night, providing value. It's more of a stream of consciousness. So you're going through your day, you're telling people again, like what's going on for the day behind the scenes. Maybe you're taking a picture of yourself doing something that you typically do. And we do this because we want to build connection and we want to build your brand. There are a ton of people selling NFTs in this space. And while, obviously it's not that saturated of a market yet, you still need to make sure that you are being authentic and standing out. And that's what's really going to magnetize people is when you show up authentically and they can really, truly get to know you. More and more as Web3 gets developed, it's becoming more important when people purchase their NFT collections to make sure that they actually trust you. There's so many rug pulls going on that people just want to make sure that they're getting into something and they're not going to lose all their money or any money for that matter. So it's really important that you show up. I highly recommend that you become fully doxxed. If not, you're just gonna have to work extra hard at the back end stuff of really building people's trust. So building trust and making people feel safe is showing up, providing value, and again, just bringing them along for the ride. So a big thing too is that it's really easy to get in the habit of just saying good morning, or just writing down whatever comes to your head, which is good. Like, again, we want those behind the scenes, but don't forget to add images. Don't forget to add videos. That's going to take it more real estate on the Twitter feed. And people, I don't know if they just don't think about it or if they get lazy, but you want to make sure that you're taking up that real estate, that people again are getting to know you, your face, your personality. And also as well in regards to just saying the good mornings, like making sure that you are actually providing value. And that could look like something that builds your brand, like we said, like your stream of consciousness, like good morning. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like my freaking coffee spilled all over me, and like having like a picture of, your coffee on your shirt. Like that is actually valuable if that kind of aligns with your brand and more of like the whole like authentic you type of thing. It could also be maybe like a visual that provides value in regards to information, in regards that's not just random information, but again, that information that these people can take away and start running with and use it, or they can maybe retweet it, or they can look at it and look at something with a different point of view because it's coming from your point of view, not them. I hope that makes sense. That was kind of a long ramble, but really it's getting into creating a story of your day, starting with good mornings, ending with good nights, of course, of some sort of value add. And, the in between of who you truly are as a person, what you're working on, and what in like knowledge you have that you can share. Web3 right now is, we don't like gatekeepers. We want to tell it all. So make sure you get out there, and we love personalities. So this is your permission slip to be you, to be weird, to be funny, to be whatever you are. And so that is like the big part. So you're building up your brand. That's going to build connection. It's going to build trust. And now you also want to think about not just you, but you also want to think about your ideal audience. And this is what's going to drive your awareness and drive your authority. So these types of posts are what's going to get the reshares. That's going to get the retweets and the comments on it. And that is how you're going to extend your visibility and have more opportunities for people to see you. And then for people to look at your bio, look at what you have going on your grid and following you, which is actually a really good point. So when people, you want to make sure your bio is locked up, and you want to make sure that you have a great banner. I don't want to get too into the best practices. I will actually do a different video for that, but you want to make sure that you at least have an intro that people are gonna be like, oh yeah, I know what this girl or guy does, and I know what her personality is, and I want to follow them. They're then going to go look down. If they do get past the bio, they're going to scroll. So what are they seeing? You want to make sure that they are seeing the value that you're bringing the personality. They want to get to know you within that scroll. So you want to make sure that just within that, the first few scrolls, it really does tell the story of your brand and what you can offer people. You have the pinned tweet. Make sure to take advantage of that. I would say something that really can provide value, and then have a link out wherever you want them to go, whether it be your Discord or your website. But again, it needs to be very valuable in order to get people to click. So, you have this channel that people can scroll and see you. And I know there is a strategy to retweet, but making sure that you're at least quote retweeting. You don't just want people to see other people's stuff on your channel, because they're not going to find you valuable. You can retweet something, but also make sure that you have a value add there. And of course, don't forget the media, don't forget photos, videos, graphs that could be helpful. You'll start to see, what I even really recommend is literally do as many tweets as possible of all different types of tweets. And then you're going to see what actually resonates. And then you can do more of that. I'm actually going to do another post too of just content in general. I think that just content creation, the types of content, is so important, and it really helps with getting into the psychology of marketing and getting people to stop and purchase and follow you and all those good things. So we'll get more into that. Okay, so what I really want to talk about is what I've seen that sets tweets on fire, that people love to retweet, that people love to comment on. And this has been a pretty solid formula for myself that I've tested over the past 3 weeks. So again, I've mentioned this before, because this has taken so long, it was because that just made no sense. I'm sorry. This has taken so long for me to get this video up is because I told you that I was testing some things, and I love to embody something before I actually teach it. So this is what I've been embodying, and it has skyrocketed my visibility. It has skyrocketed my following, and it's been doing really well. And I've started to do it with clients, and we're seeing the same results. I think one of my clients, we were just looking at her analytics, and her visibility increased by 2,000%. It was insane. So, all right. So what is it? You want to make sure that you can craft a tweet that focuses on these areas. It's the more areas you can focus on in one tweet, the better it's going to be. So relevant. You want to make sure that it's relevant to your followers. So what's going on in the space right now? What's going on in the world? What's going on in your followers' communities? Just anything. So, the first thing that comes to mind right now for me is going to be, the Ukraine and Russia war. Obviously that's something that's really heavy on people's minds. So it could be something around hey, how do we keep going? How do we still become creative and put in the effort to do something like this when we feel really sad? So that could be a tweet around that. You also want to figure out what they want or need. What's a stress source for them right now? Like this is all part of being under that relevant bucket. And then we want to know, how can you turn that around? So I want you to think about, like, how can you turn that around? What's your unique point of view on this? Are people thinking one thing, but you're actually thinking something else? So think about all of this stuff. And then you want to make sure that if it is a point of contention or a point of stress, how can you make them feel better? How can you relieve that stress? And then you're going to add on that value based on, their ultimate goal in the moment, based on that stress, based on what's going on in the world, based on what is relevant. So there are 3 ultimate goals in life. It's to be happier, it's to be healthier, and it's to be wealthier. So no matter what, there's going to be offshoots of all of that stuff, but the 3 basic buckets are, how can you make these people happier with this tweet? How can you make them healthier? How can you make them richer? So think about that. And again, you don't need to put all 3 of these in your tweet, but it should focus on one of them. So let's break this down. So, okay, again, we have be relevant. Know and understand what they need and what they want, mostly what they want, because not everybody knows what they need. And then have your unique point of view and add value. So those are going to be the 4 things that we want to try to encompass all of it for. So again, for relevant, I gave an example, but I'm going to give an example more of just a tweet that I just posted, because it did very well. And I followed this formula very strategically. So what's relevant? So here's my thought process. I'm going to tell you my thought process, and then I'm going to show you the tweet. So there's pressure to have a launch and to sell out at launch. Huge pressure in the NFT space. Launches are deemed successful when they sell out. People are looking at that, and artists are thinking about that when they're creating, and teams are getting really stressed over it. So we're seeing a ton of artists want to sell a 10K launch as well too, but they don't fully understand the marketing dynamics, and they want to launch quickly because they want to make money. They are just really excited, whatever it may be, but they only have 500 people in their Discord. So that's a huge other thing that I've seen, a trend that I've seen with my followers in this space, or my ideal consumers. So that is kind of like what's going on with them at this moment. That's what's going on in the space. So there's a lot of pressure out there to do these things. And what do they want? So their ultimate goal is to be successful at selling their NFTs, which goes under the richer bucket. But that is their ultimate goal right now, to be successful at selling their NFTs. My unique point of view on this is that selling out a launch in a day should not determine your success. It should not determine it at all. And in fact, I've seen a lot of collections not do great at launch, but be so incredibly successful because of what they've done after launch. So that's kind of like my perspective on things. And how I add value is that I'm removing the pressure. So again, that's actually making them happier. So I'm removing the pressure on them to feel like they have to sell out. And then I'm educating them and telling them to launch with more people. So that's going to make them richer. Is like, hey, if you do really want to launch and you do really want to sell out, make sure you grow your community before you launch. So that's a mistake that I've been seeing. And if people really are stuck in the fact that they only want to sell out their launch, is that they do need to create that community first. And then I could give them some launching and community building tips. So you can see how that all works together and how it creates a really great tweet that you can then tweet out, and you're going to get a ton of engagement. So I'm actually going to share my screen. Let me go back and find it really quickly. I'm going to show you a few tweets that I've created that literally I've specifically did this formula for. Or I need to share my screen. And then after I share my screen, I'm going to come back. I'm going to finish up this video, and then I'm going to come back and do some more things for you guys. Okay, share screen. All right, so you see right here, Why success determined on if you sell out your launch in 5 seconds? An NFT collection is a business that will last a long time. It's a good thing to have slow and steady growth, different business strategies, and both can be successful. So you see here that this one actually focused, I didn't focus on all of them because I didn't tell them about the whole building the community, but it was enough. I hit enough and I gave them something for their ultimate goal. I took the pressure off, made them feel happier in the end. People like that's going to be really like, that feels really good to my consumers, to my artists selling out their collections. So you can see a bunch of retweets, bunch of comments, bunch of likes. This was super successful. There's another one down here too. I think it's way farther down actually. And that was the one that I talked about building the launch. Did I go too far? No, I think I went too far, but there was another one that did really, really well. And it was about, hey, if you're going to launch and if you want to sell out, just FYI, you need to build your community right here. NFT launch tip. Build your community first, then launch when it's solid. Picking a launch date, then scrambling to fill your Discord is a recipe for failure. So I'm actually hitting on a pain point there of them not being successful. And then, of course, giving them the tip of how to be successful. So you can see how this all plays out and how really, you know, this is going to get more eyes on my brand. And then they're going to click over to my profile and they're going to see that I have an optimized banner. I have an optimized bio. And then they're going to scroll down and they're going to see more of my personality. They are going to see maybe some NFT collections that I support. And then of course, some more tips. So actually, maybe I will show you what my thing looks like now before I go. And again, we'll get more into the bio and the banner. But you can see people know exactly who I am. They know my credentials. I put my NFT NYC speaker thing there because I think that, you know, would really pique people's interests. They see that I'm in marketing, that I'm a woman, that I support women. Here's my pinned tweet. It's a complete guide to selling out your launch. So obviously that's something that my audience really needs. And it clicks out to my website. And you can see here too, like there's a bunch of stuff that really showcases who I am, the type of value I provide, and my personality, how I like, you know, 90s parties. So that's basically it for this video, but I hope that was helpful. And I hope that at least gets you started on thinking about what types of tweets to start tweeting about. All right, if you have any questions, of course, ask them in the marketing questions channel, and I hope you enjoyed.